You're about to enter the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Right now in the Reb Zone, a week with mixed results for the Runnin' Rebels. A road win to start the conference season, followed by a home loss to Air Force. We're taking a closer look at both games with head coach Dave Rice. Plus, a recap of UNLV football's first bowl game since 2000. What happened in the Heart of Dallas Bowl against North Texas? And what did the team have to say when it was all over? Time to light up the scoreboard. The Reb Zone is ready for action. Let's go.
Somebody light me up. Boom.
You are now entering the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Good evening and welcome inside the Reb Zone as we talk everything UNLV sports. Kevin Bollinger alongside Runnin' Rebels head coach Dave Rice. And a frustrating loss last night on a bunch of different levels.
Absolutely. After a very good midweek game against Fresno State, a win on the road, just got off to a tough start, dug ourselves into a deep hole in the first half, made a valiant effort to come back in the second half, got a little bit of a lead, and it just could not quite hold on. Frustrating for us, to say the least.
Well, let's start breaking this one down as Air Force, as Coach said, jumped out early and just would not go away.
Andy on three, 1, 2, 3. Man.
The conference home opener brings a different level of intensity inside the Thomas & Mack. Bryce DeJean Jones continued his hot shooting out of the gate. This jumper made it 2-0. It's the largest lead UNLV would have the entire game. Air Force used an offense of motion and cutters, and the Runnin' Rebels seemed confused and did not communicate well in the first half as the Falcons had everything dropping. BDJ single-handedly kept UNLV in it, hitting from outside for three and getting the hoop and the harm. He was pumped, but Air Force kept answering. Zach Coker gets the baseline floater. UNLV had some nice ball movement on this possession, over to Kem Birch for the slam. BDJ laid one off the glass and hit the fall-away jumper. He had 18 in the first half, but UNLV was down 41-33 at the break. The Runnin' Rebels played much better defense in the second half to close the gap. Off the Air Force inbounds, DeVille Smith with the steal, and over to BDJ for the bucket and the foul. Birch worked on the offensive glass and the putback to cut the deficit to 1. When Jelon Kendrick hit this baseline jumper, UNLV had their first lead since BDJ's shot that opened the game. But Air Force's Max Yon hit big shot after big shot as the Falcons took the lead back and extended it to 4. BDJ brought UNLV back. The offensive rebound, putback, and foul. Part of a three-point play that tied things back up with 4 minutes left. The lead would bounce back and forth. Under 40 seconds to go. A huge lane opens up for Trey Coggins, who puts in an easy lay-in, and Air Force was up 69-68. BDJ wanted the ball and went baseline, drawing the foul, but he missed both free throws, forcing UNLV to foul. Twice, Air Force missed the back end of 2 free throws. Both times, nobody blocked out the shooter, and that was a fitting ending to a frustrating night for the Runnin' Rebels as they fall to 1-1 in conference play and drop a game on their home floor, 75-68.
Communication-wise, in the beginning, we just were losing guys in the back cuts, and they were getting a lot of transition three-pointers that kind of gave them a good lead. But we had to come out in the second half and communicate a little better, and I think we did a great job of that.
Every team we play is going to give us their best shot. You know, no team's going to come in here scared because, you know, we're UNLV and, you know, we got a lot of history and they want to beat us. That's just what it is, plain and simple. And we just got to be ready, you know. It doesn't matter. Anybody can be beat on any given night in this conference. So we just got to come out more focused and learn from this as a lesson.
So explain why Air Force has always been such a difficult matchup, especially for UNLV.
I think not just for UNLV, but for everyone. It's a unique offense. It's the Princeton-style offense. They spread the floor, a lot of flares, a lot of back cuts, just something different. They have multiple shooters out on the floor, and the way they run their offense is just different than what most people do. And we had a hard time guarding it in the first half. We had a number of guys who were new, who'd never guarded them before. It just takes some time. I thought we made some great adjustments in terms of our effort and our intensity, execution in the second half, but we just dug ourselves a very, very deep hole that first half.
We heard Bryce DeJean-Jones talk about the communication, and when you only have 3 players that get significant minutes for the Running Rebels that had experience against Air Force, that communication seemed to completely break down between the players in the first half especially.
It was tough in the first half, and again, no excuses. I mean, we needed to be more ready. We needed to do a better job, give Air Force a lot of credit, but certainly they had our full attention. We were ready for the game and did a good job in the second half of guarding it, but again, just dug ourselves a deep hole at halftime.
It seems, over the past decade or so, UNLV has enjoyed such a home court dominance, but over the last 2 seasons, teams haven't seemed intimidated coming into the Thomas and Mack like they have been in the past.
It's an interesting phenomenon that's going on. I think a part of that is that Mountain West Conference schools play on this floor and in this city a lot during the conference tournament. I think there's a familiarity with that, but we need to make sure we continue to protect our home turf. That's important. We're playing well on the road, but we need to also play with the same sort of intensity execution at home.
Well, the whole week was not a wash. On Wednesday, the Running Rebels open conference play at Fresno State, looking to get off to a fast start and get a little revenge after being beaten by the Bulldogs twice last season. Mission accomplished. A noon start for the Running Rebels on New Year's Day, and UNLV started 2014 in a hurry against Fresno State. An 8-0 run to start the game, capped by this dunk by Kem Birch as they were off and running. Fresno State hung tough and kept the game close throughout the first half, but Roscoe Smith's tenacity on both ends of the floor gave UNLV some energy as he finished the first 20 minutes with 9 points and 7 rebounds. Kevin Olekebe returned to Fresno, where he played his first 3 seasons and was determined to show up big. This 3-pointer late in the first half gave the Rebs a 6-point lead and would be the only 3-pointer for UNLV in the game, keeping the streak alive. The Running Rebels went into the locker room up 34-31. In the second half, Bryce DeJean-Jones stepped up, scoring the Rebels' first 6 points of the half. Chris Wood notched a couple of buckets, and Roscoe Smith throws down the slam, but UNLV couldn't shake the Bulldogs at this point. The Rebs started getting the and ones as first BDJ, then Birch picked up the hoop and the harm. UNLV finally opened up a double-digit lead. UNLV would never look back. DeJean-Jones ending up with 24 points. Birch had 14 to go with 17 rebounds, and Roscoe Smith added 13 and 12. The front court double-double machine continues, and UNLV dominates the second half and wins the conference opener on the road at Fresno, 75-62. You said early on this season that you thought this team had the mental makeup to be a good road team, and I think that we saw evidence of that on Wednesday.
Still feel that way. Felt that way going to Arizona, where we lost a close game, then of course the Southern Utah win, and then winning at Fresno State. I thought it was a huge road victory for us. First conference game, we played extremely well. We got off to a great start, got off to the 8-0 lead, and our defense was good throughout. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but held Fresno State on their home floor to 33% from the field. A huge win for us to start conference play.
One person who was shooting incredibly well here over the last week is Bryce DeJean-Jones, a career high last night, a big game at Fresno. It seems like he's starting to get his touch and his feel going.
He's been terrific this week, and even going back to the Fullerton game. He's very efficient. He's rebounding the basketball. He's taking good shots. He's playing within the flow of what we're trying to do, and we're excited about the progress that he's making. He's going to be a big part of what we're doing moving forward in conference play.
I think the marketing people are maybe reaching out to In-N-Out Burger because you have a double-double machine working right now. It didn't work last night against Air Force, but Roscoe Smith and Kem Birch just continue to churn those out every game, and that's a nice luxury to have.
Well, absolutely, and Roscoe Smith and Kem Birch have been so consistent all year long in terms of the effort they've given on the defensive boards. They both get to the offensive boards as well. Kem Birch is a shot blocker, and they're both scoring as well. So anytime you can kind of almost take for granted the fact they're going to be double figures in rebounds and often in points, that's also a big deal for us.
Well, the games don't get any easier in the Mountain West next week. Rivalry week for UNLV. There's only one game on the schedule, but it's UNR. Next to the Reb Zone, we're going to preview Wednesday night's matchup with the Wolfpack. We're back in 2 minutes.
This Raising the Bar moment is brought to you by Born and Raised, the official home of Rebels on the Road.
Early in the second half against Air Force, the Falcons' inbound pass is stolen by DeVille Smith, who swings it over to Bryce DeJean Jones. The drive, the glass, the hoop, the harm. BDJ has a career-high 28 points and delivers this week's Raising the Bar moment. On Wednesday night at the Thomas & Mack, UNR comes to town as the quest for the Governor's Cup presented by MV Energy continues. UNLV looking to extend the lead in the season-long battle for athletic and academic supremacy. But more important for the Runnin' Rebels, it's a chance to get back above 500 in the conference schedule and hand the Wolfpack their first conference loss. UNR comes into this game with UNLV with a 7-8 record, but they're 2-0 in conference play. And coming off wins versus Wyoming and at San Jose State, the Wolfpack have some confidence brewing. Everything with this team hinges on spectacular senior guard Deonte Burton, who is averaging 22 points a game in 39 minutes.
When he goes, we go. He is our leader. He is the general, but he needs some help. And that's what hopefully we address this year, getting more help where teams can't key on him.
That help is come in the form of fellow guards Jerry Evans Jr. and UTEP transfer Michael Perez, both averaging double digits in points. While basketball often takes a backseat to football in the northern part of the state, UNLV is always a game circled on the schedule.
Basketball at UNLV has tradition for decades. We've only had it for the probably last decade of winning championships, getting to the tournament. So we have a little ways to go, but it's still an intense game. It still is a rivalry, although the record may not be as close. But you know, we look at it as our rivalry in state because there's only two universities in the state, so that's big for us.
The Wolfpack are considered to be in a bit of a transition period, but Burton is able to take over any game, which makes this a potentially dangerous team on any given night. And beating UNR really comes down to controlling Deonte Burton. You're not going to stop him, you have to control him.
He's a terrific player. He's as good a point guard as there is in the country. They've added Michael Perez, who actually was at UTEP and came and played in the Thomas Mack Center a couple years ago. He's a very good player. Jerry Evans Jr., A.J. West is a transfer who's gotten eligible now. They have a very, very good starting five. It'll be a challenge for us on Wednesday against a very good Reno team. With only one game next week, will we see the starters maybe log a few more minutes than they normally would because they will have a week off before the next game? Yeah, I think we'll just, whatever it takes to try to win that basketball game. We understand the challenge of playing against UNR and how good Burton is, and they're 2-0. They've won their first two conference games. It's a huge game. We need to protect our home turf. We're playing at the Thomas & Mack Center. The crowd's been terrific, and we need to continue that tradition of playing well at home. Sometimes the Cannon game overshadows this rivalry so much on the football side, but from the basketball angle, do the players buy into the big rivalry as much maybe as the football team does? I think the biggest thing when there are two schools in the state, there's intense competition. There's obviously tremendous respect between our staff and David Carter's staff. He's done a terrific job at UNR, and I just think the world of him as a coach and a person. But certainly it's always an intense competition when two schools from the same state match up against each other. And then when you throw in conference play and we're both trying to compete for conference title, it makes it all the more meaningful. Well, we're going to hear more from Coach Rice in just a moment, but next we're going to turn our attention to football. A complete recap of the Rebels Bowl game in Dallas. What happened and what do the players have to say afterwards? Find out next in the Reb Zone.
You're watching the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
The UNLV football season is officially over, but what a year it was for Bobby Houck and his team. The first winning season and bowl appearance since 2000, the first time ever in a New Year's Day game, and every indication that this program has turned a corner physically, mentally, and in expectations. Despite that, the final game of the year was a rough one, a 36-14 loss to North Texas in the heart of Dallas Bowl.
This is the stage we've been waiting to play on, man. We worked all year to play here. We worked all year to play here, and let's show out here. We had the combo, baby. Let's put on the show. Win on me, win on three. 1, 2, 3. Win. One more time for the city, boy. Let's go, man. Dominate on me. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate. We're ready for this, man. We live for this. Clock in on me. Clock in on 3. 1, 2, 3. Clock in.
The Rebels were hyped inside the historic Cotton Bowl as these players had a chance to lace them up in a bowl game for the first time. All early signs were positive for UNLV. North Texas had the ball first, but senior Tyler Gaston notched the sack, one of 10 tackles for him on the day. That forced a punt, but the Rebels' first offensive possession of the day would have to begin on their own 5-yard line. That didn't faze Caleb Herring one bit as he methodically drove UNLV down the field, hitting Marcus Sullivan for an 8-yard gain. Then the pass to Micah Mataele for a first down, and Tim Cornett's 11-yard run gave the Rebels a 1st and goal at the 9. Off play action, Herring finds Sullivan for the touchdown. The Rebels drive 95 yards in 8 plays and had a 7-0 lead 7.5 minutes into the game. After the defense forces a 3-and-out, one of the key plays of the game came on the punt. A Rebel player gets blocked into Keith Whiteley, who fumbles, and North Texas recovers. Instead of a short field with a chance to go up 2 scores, the Mean Green had the ball at the UNLV 42. North Texas drove down, and Antoine Jimerson pounds it in from a yard out to tie the score up at 7. Herring tried to re-spark the offense, and this 26-yard run gave them an important first down, but the drive stalled in what would be a recurring theme. Just before the half, Nolan Cohorst tried a 53-yard field goal, but it comes up short. And this game went into halftime tied at 7. The Rebels had the ball to start the second half, where they've had success in getting touchdowns, but instead Herring was sacked and the drive went nowhere. UNLV's defense worked to get North Texas in several 3rd and long situations, but the Mean Green consistently converted, including this 3rd and 16. On 3rd and goal at the 7, Mean Green quarterback Derek Thompson found tight end Drew Miller all alone for a touchdown and a 14-7 lead. The Rebel offense just could not get anything going as Herring was constantly pressured and the run game was non-existent. North Texas went up 21-7 on this touchdown by Braylon Chancellor and then opened up a commanding lead on Thompson's nice throw to Darnell Smith for another score. UNLV tried to fight back in the game as Herring hit Jerry Rice Jr. for a touchdown to make it 28-14, but it was too little too late as North Texas dominated the second half and wins the Heart of Dallas Bowl 36-14. Afterwards, the Rebels broke down the game, but also talked about not only how far they've come, but where they're headed.
North Texas did a nice job, particularly their rush defense was really good. They kept us from getting our run game going much. Our yards per carry just weren't enough, and then defensively we weren't good enough in 3rd down. We got them into some 3rd down situations where we had the upper hand and they converted.
I'm sad we lost this last one. I know seniors got to walk out of here with a game like that. But the thing that sticks out the most is leadership that the seniors took upon themselves in the offseason to make sure we can come out and win games this year.
I would have liked to go out on a bit of a sweeter taste, but the time here I've had is nothing short of amazing, and I'm just proud to be a Rebel.
We battled back. We've taken some lickings. We fought. I don't think the word Rebel can describe us any better.
It's going to be something, that we can be proud to look back on, to know that we were able, before I went out and all my other seniors, that we were able to get this program in the right direction. And like I tell all the young guys, it's a bright future, and they got a lot to look forward to, and they just got to, work hard this offseason. And to be able to experience a bowl game, they're going to be hungry for that next year. So, they're going to be ready to play.
This game's going to help with knowing we don't want to feel like this again. So going forward, we should make sure that won't happen again.
I told them I was proud of them, and in particular our seniors for having the persistence to turn this ship around, because things were not good when we all came together a few years ago, and I just told them I was proud of them and was looking forward to everybody being back in January so we can start on next year.
A couple of final notes on the football season. Caleb Herring ended his Rebel tenure with the UNLV record for completion percentage in a season and a career, and the lowest career interception percentage with just 14 in 708 attempts. Devontae Davis set a UNLV Bowl record with 10 receptions and had the second most receiving yards in a season in school history. A ton of positives out of this season, and the Rebels lose only 2 starters on offense and have the bulk of the team coming back in 2014, so it appears that they could be set for another big year. We're going to switch back to basketball, though, coming up after the break, and we're going to have some final thoughts from Coach Rice. First, though, here's a look at how other Mountain West teams did over the weekend.
You're watching the Reb Zone Sports Show on Fox 5.
Goal number 1, always to win that regular season conference championship, and then, of course, get to the NCAA tournament. The margin for error has now been narrowed quite a bit.
Absolutely, and our focus is always try to practice as hard as we can to stay together and try to win our next game. And our next game is against the Wolfpack on Wednesday, and we'll be ready for that game. We know the challenge of playing against them, but we'll be ready to play that game.
Well, it's a 6 o'clock start at the Thomas & Mack, so make sure you get out there early for that. We thank you for joining us inside the Reb Zone this week, and we leave you with the Runnin' Rebel and UNLV football plays of the week. See you next Sunday. Good night.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. Ridiculous, without even trying. How do they do it? This is 10%